bands with new stuff out. Maybe you'll dig them. First, Morbid Visions. Alright, these guys slam, man. They're not a slam band because they're death metal, and while Apple Music has them listed as death/black, I don't hear a whole lot of black, but maybe that's just me. They're more an obituary than Cannibal Corpse type of thing, because they don't really grind with tons of blast too often, but instead just like they go straight forward, if that makes sense. For a new school comparison, if you like GATECREEPER, you'd probably like these guys. Maybe even Power Trip to a degree, but that might be stretching it. They definitely got some slower, sludgier parts in some of their songs, but whether they're going fast or slow, they're still heavy as hell, and they come from the old school instead of new, no question. Now, I've always considered death metal vocalists to be one of two types, either a human or a monster. For instance, John Tardy, Obituary. He certainly screams and stuff, but in my weird world, he falls into the human category. Chuck Schuldiner was like that too. On the other hand, people like Chris Barnes or CORPSEGRINDER, those are definitely monsters, you know? And this guy's voice is like that too. Their latest release is a cover of Mob Rules, D.O. Sabbath, and I actually didn't know it was them at first because the cover art doesn't really look like their other two releases, Cycle of Cessation and the demo before it, but it's an awesome version. It's cool because it's so unlike what you're used to, sort of like when ACHERON covered the song Black Sabbath or when Vital Remains covered Trooper, Maiden. Even Invaders was kind of like that when SADUS did it. So yeah, dude, Morbid Visions. If you like obituary sort of death metal, I think you'll love these guys. Next, Circle of Nerves. No, not the I Hate God song, but a brand new band from what appear to be some youngsters from Sweden. This is the sound of some serious angst and rage. The singer's not growling, he's not death metaling, he is quite literally screaming. I guess you'd call him sludge, a doomy and deathy kind of sludge, but let me really focus on the singer for a second. Over the last 20 years, probably for the benefit to vocalists' health, I think many of them have taken the advice of some of these death metal vocal coaches that have popped up, and they've implemented their teachings so they don't actually scream their lungs out. The singer of Circle of Nerves has clearly not done that though, and I got a sneaky suspicion that the reason is because what he's screaming about, he fucking means it, man. He honestly sounds like he's ill, like he's throwing up blood is the only way I can describe it. And man, I wouldn't even be surprised if he has spit up blood singing. You might say he sounds a little like Attila from Mayhem in more recent years. Now the song behind him, because that's all we got from this band so far, I'll put it like this. As metalheads, I don't think we're really fazed by any music. Nothing's too extreme. However, and maybe it's just me, but once in a blue moon I feel like certain stuff is actually kind of disturbing. Lowest common denominator's one in my opinion, Converge, and I always bring them up, Primitive Man too, a lot of their stuff, and Spectral Voice, especially their latest release. This is one of those songs, but it's fucking cool though, man. It's seriously like slam without being anything even remotely like slam. The beat is very repetitive except for this one short part where it kind of blasts, but it's repetitive in a cool way. It's a very, very sludgy sound, and honestly even the riff's pretty repetitive, but again, so what if it rocks, right? Good as far as I'm concerned. I like this song a shit ton, so there you go, man. Circle of Nerves. It's gonna be interesting to hear what else these lads come up with, but they're awesome. Next, Take Offense. This is some pretty rockin', crossovery, dirty, crossover heavy metal. Fairly thrashy or thrash heavy metal. Yeah, I do think there's a distinction sometimes. It's pretty fun, kind of party-oriented type of stuff without it trying to be fun or party-ish. Like, it's not party thrash, but most of their more recent songs could fit perfectly fine next to anything off Hazardous Mutation or Waste 'Em All, Municipal Waste. You might think I'm absolutely insane, but there are some small things about this band on the two most recent albums, Totality and Keep an Eye Out, or at least what we have at Totality, it's not out in full yet, but like the tone of the lead guitar once in a while, and even the singer. It reminds me of Final Gasp, so by extension, SAMHAIN too. Musically, if Cowboys from Hell is your favorite Pantera album, you should find a lot of stuff from Take Offense that you like. But also, I'm telling you, man, call me crazy, but if you're a SAMHAIN addict, if you left the first Danzig, shit, man, I don't know, you may also really enjoy these guys. And if you like the Force of Habit album, Exodus, or even Time Bomb, Demolition Hammer, this should follow. That statement may ring true, maybe even more so earlier in their catalog, like on 2013's United States of Mind. And there's something about the style style of many of the melodies, not all, but many, that feel very late 80s, which I'll take that any day and all day, because I fucking hate the modern day. So yeah, dude, take offense. Fucking A. Next, from New York City are Final Siege. Okay, they are mostly pretty thrashy, but with an asterisk in a second. Kind of deathy vocal, sort of like Peter from VADER sometimes, although that's only used sparingly, because the singer's main voice is pretty shouty and threatening sounding the rest of the time. They kind of remind me of Tankard a little sometimes, or more recent Destruction too. And they're pretty varied in terms of fast parts and mid-paced parts, and then just kind of slow dive bomb type stuff like you're on drugs in some sort of a stupor or something. Me being a lover of those sorts of things musically, I love those parts. And they're not just like slow for the sake of slowing down a song. It's like they got a reason to be, because it adds to what's trying to be conveyed in the song, maybe you could say. 2 albums, 21's March to Your Grave and this year's Nuclear Doomsday. But yeah, man, if you like that sort of German Big Four sound when it grew a bunch older and became a little less thrash and more just straight ahead heavy metal, Final Siege from New York's got you covered damn well. Thumbs up. Vulture, Metal Blade. Alright, these guys are pretty speed metal-y, heavy metal, thrash. The singer sounds at times like Zetro if he were on Bonded by Blood, Steve Zetro from Exodus. But he can also do a really good King Diamond falsetto. Wanna see what I mean? Draw Your Blades off the latest album, Sentinels. Wonderful example. You know what? For that matter, they also put their Merciful Fate influence on display too, from like Melissa up till Time, little into the unknown. Vulture are one of those bands who do a fantastic job of bringing in all their early influences, and in this case, I think it's pretty limited to traditional speed metal and heavy metal, so you won't really hear a lot beyond that. Like, you wouldn't hear any kind of hardcore or punk influence like Discharge or Exploited, although that Beat the Bastards Exploited album's pretty metal-y at times. But yeah, this is pure heavy metal, speed metal, thrash metal. That's too extreme for any sort of radio, so if that's your thing, Vulture should serve you well. Finally, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Decoy. If you like that kind of relentless, doesn't let up, constantly getting punched in the face or something, metalcore, kind of hardcore, maybe you'd call it current school hardcore if that's what metalcore falls under, Decoy are masters at it. It's nothing melodic or soft going on here, it's just straight up blunt force type of beats that kids end up getting hurt to in a pit. Now, admittedly, I know very little about what's considered metalcore music over the last couple decades. Shit, maybe I just said that a second ago. My love for it does exist though, but it stayed limited to very early players in the genre. Overcast, Aftershock, Piecemeal to name a few. And I've always considered bands like Marauder or Diecast, Hatebreed to just be hardcore. However, similarly to how I can get down with Obscura in the tech field, even though tech's not really my thing, because Obscura is simply that good, so too can I be equally wowed by Decoy, because I don't know, man, that was just my experience. You just gotta listen to him. The singer could be slightly reminiscent of Scott from Buried Alive and Terror, but also at times, and maybe it's even somebody else in the band that does the vocals, but whoever it was that sang vocals on that first Zao album. Ah, fuck, I forgot. Zao rules too. But yeah, dude, Decoy from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Very aggressive sounding, very heavy metalcore, sometimes controlled, sometimes chaotic. Fucking A, man. So, okay, my friends, those were a bunch of bands I stumbled upon recently that I figured some people here might like to know about if they didn't already, so there you go. If you did like this video, cool, man, maybe you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you just like hearing somebody bullshit about heavy metal, then mosh, thrash, skank, toxic waltz, whatever the hell you want to do, right into that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on Concrete Spew, but until then, later, my friends.